My goal is to make this the last video or podcast that you have to watch or listen to if you're struggling with a pornography addiction. You know, it's been 5 years. January 28th was the day that we took our first client on in 2020 here at Rebuild Recovery. 5 years I've walked side by side, thousands of men, arms locked together, down the path to freedom, down the path to breaking the chains from pornography addiction. I've seen a lot of good. I've seen a lot of insights. I've seen a lot of breakthroughs. But at the same time, I've seen a lot of men continue to struggle. And I don't think it's a lack of information as to the reason why these men struggle. If you're caught up in a pornography addiction right now, you know what you need to do to get out of it. You know what you need to do to stay away from pornography. But there's a reason as to why you don't do those things. There's a reason as to why you're still stuck. And my goal here today with this podcast is to reveal to you the one thing that's missing in your life, the one thing that's missing in your thought process, the one thing that is missing in you that is keeping you stuck and enslaved to your porn addiction. You know, back on February 14th, 2019, I had a radical encounter with myself. Radical because I say it's the first time I was honest. It's the first time I looked myself in the eyes, in the mirror, and got clear and honest with who I was, with where my shortcomings were. And I made a declaration that day that after 20 years of depression, anxiety, suicidal ideation, loneliness, depression, all of these things that were manifesting in my life, I made a decision and a choice to leave that life behind me and create a new path moving forward. There's a very distinct difference that I felt when I tore a laptop apart. For those of you that do not know my story, I ripped a laptop apart in front of the girl that I was dedicating my life to at the time. We're no longer together. That's a whole different story. But in that moment, in that declaration, I said, this computer is the thing that is keeping me enslaved, and I must let this part of myself go. I must be willing to let that part of me that keeps that addiction inside of me, I must be willing to let that part die. And see, here's the thing is most of you right now are trying to quit porn without changing anything about who you are. Most of you are trying to create a new life moving forward, absent of the thing that's keeping you stuck, without creating any new identity into who you are. So the only thing that you need to focus on from this point on is not the 7 tips to manage a trigger, is not the 3 ways to deal with urges, is not the 7 breathing exercises to do when I'm stressful. Those are tools, those are tactics. But without an identity transformation, your life will never be different. Let me repeat that. It doesn't matter the tips of how to handle triggers. It doesn't matter what to do when you're feeling tempted. It doesn't matter how to deal and navigate lustful thoughts. If you do not change the person and the man that you are through a radical identity shift and transformation. If you're watching the video, you see a logo behind me, Rebuilt Recovery. Rebuilt Recovery's logo is a phoenix that becomes a lion. The phoenix is the symbol of death and resurrection. It is a literal mythological symbol of identity transformation. And it becomes a lion because inside of you is something that is here to accomplish. There's a territory, a dominion, a purpose for your life that porn is sucking out of you. And until you let that part go, create a new identity and step into the powerness that God created within you, you will always stay stuck. You know, I got a message from somebody that's been following our content for a very long time. I believe he's been inside of our course before because I think in his message he said he had about 1 video left to go. I invited him to be a part of our new community, which those of you that don't know, we have a free week trial to our exclusive group coaching. So if you visit school.com/reboot your life, or it's linked down in the show notes below, you get access to this community. But he told me that he didn't need our group because he had a good one. But if he ever needed coaching again in the future, he was going to go, and he told me about another coach that I'm very close friends with. But here's what he wasn't seeing. I instantly understood why he's stuck, why he's been following our content for years, and why he still hasn't broken through. He told me that his group was good, but if he needed coaching in the future, he would go to X place. Well, if the coaching is good, if it accomplishes the job, you don't need further coaching. He also told me that he appreciated our videos, but he wanted to critique my approach to the 12 steps. So he's telling me everything about my content is wrong, yet he continues to watch it. You see, that's a man that's got a broken identity. He's looking for the tip. He's looking for the tactic. He's looking for the strategy instead of looking within and saying, who do I need to become? How do I need to change? And if I don't agree with this particular individual's content, why am I watching his videos? Why am I reading his emails? Why am I following his videos? Because his subconscious belief is that my approach isn't right. So every video he watches, he's watching through the lens of this is not right. Obviously, that information is not going to resonate with him. If we do not change who we are, if we do not see the parts within us that must die and create a new vision, we will always stay stuck. I got a friend of mine, he's turning 50 later this year. And full admittance, he's let himself go physically. He's always been an athlete, was an amateur bodybuilder in his 20s, has been active in the gym. But over the last couple of years, through work, through family, through hormonal changes, he's got to a point where he's very uncomfortable in his skin. He's like, Frank, I want to be in the best shape when I turn 50. What program do I follow? What workouts must I do? And the coach inside of me is once again seeing all the brokenness in this way of thinking. If you're looking for a program over the next 12 weeks to rid you of pornography, then at the end of 12 weeks, you're going to fall back into the same patterns. If you're looking for a program over 12 weeks to lose 20 pounds without changing who you are, well, when you stop that program, you're going to revert back to the same habits and routines. 90% of people will go down a weight loss transformation in their life. They will lose a substantial amount of weight. Now, 90 to 95% of those people will put all, if not more, of the weight back on, meaning 5% of people that successfully lose weight keep it off forever. The only factor in those 5% and the other 95 is these 5% embraced a new identity. They created a lifestyle. They established new habits, new routines, new relationships with foods, new relationships with exercise, new relationships with activities and hobbies. It became a part of who they are from the inside out. Now, most men will go a substantial amount of time without looking at pornography. Life will get busy. They'll be in a relationship. Things are going great with their wife. They're traveling a lot. So they're able to stay away from it. But these men that struggled with a pornography addiction didn't change anything from the inside. So the minute life returns back to normalcy, the minute life returns back to stressfulness, the minute we feel disconnected from our wives, we fall right back into the same old patterns of behavior. You see, the only thing that you have to focus on and the only thing that you need to do and ask yourself right now is, if I'm able to walk in freedom, what does my life look like? Who am I? Who must I become if I'm going to live a life of freedom? If you can answer that question, and get clear on what that day looks like. As a porn-free man, what time do you wake up? What does your morning look like? How do you respond in stressful moments? How do you respond to lustful thinking? How do you respond to triggering situations? You see, all the tips and tactics that you search on the internet and go on Reddit and YouTube and Google for, all of those are embedded in the question, who must you become? If you can become the man that no longer wants, needs, or desires porn, if you can become the man that no longer responds to stressful situations by acting out, if you become the man that no longer sexually objectifies women, you will walk in freedom, and I can guarantee it. Now, there's a process, there's a blueprint, and there's a formula to this identity shift, right? It's really good language, it's persuasive, it's intriguing, it's curiosity driven, but there is a process. And I have proven this process time and time again. Our program, Reboot Your Life, is meant to rip the part out of you that is holding on to this addiction and create a new vision, a new path for that life moving forward. If what I'm saying to you right now is clicking and registering and you're like, Frank, I'm ready to embark on this identity transformation. I mentioned it previously. We have a free trial to our course and community. It's no longer just a course that you go do on your own. We want to bring you into our community of groups, coaching, of one-to-one support, of accountability, of connecting with other like-minded men. School.com, SKOOL.com/reboot your life, or it's linked down there below. It's a 1-week trial. There's no obligation to stay with us. There's no obligation to join. After that, if you do not like what you see, once you take a peek inside, go on your way and go find an identity transformation somewhere else. But if you're stuck and if you're recognizing that you need an identity shift in your life, we are the community and I am the coach that's going to walk you down that path. School.com/reboot your life. SKOOL.com/reboot your life. But hopefully this is the last video you ever have to watch. Hopefully you understand that your path to freedom is 100% dictated and controlled by your ability and or inability to become the man that no longer looks at porn. If you want my help, I'd love to coach you down the journey. If not, keep watching the videos, brother. We love you, and we'll see you in the next one.